Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today is Saturday, June 25th, 2022, and we are going to discuss the overturning of Roe versus Wade and what that means for women in this country. It's pretty late where I am. It's almost 1:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is a little bit later than I normally go live. But y'all, I've been so bothered by this whole thing that I honestly cannot sleep. And I'm just bothered. I've been bothered all day. And I was actually going to wait to do the show tomorrow. But sometimes when I'm really, really bothered, doing a show and getting it out of my system really, really helps. Just kind of talking through it. I know a lot of you are upset tonight, as is anyone with a brain would be upset about this. So I kind of can't help but wonder what we're doing, where we're going to go from here, how this is all going to end up in the grand scheme of things. Welcome, always love. It's good to have you here as well. So, for those who don't know, I did do a show on this a couple of months ago. Let me see what the exact date was. Oh, wow, it wasn't that long ago. It was only May 4th, 2022. And the title of that show was Roe versus Wade, Overturning or Trolling? Because at the time, I couldn't quite tell if this was just something they're doing to get everyone worked up, get everyone's mind off of other things, get them focused and thinking about everything but what really matters, like rising rental rates and things like that. So I thought there was a strong possibility that they were just messing with us like they always do. They always release something, say something to get the public all worked up. I have a lot of mixed feelings as well, Mrs. James. I really, really do. Chat says I'm bothered too, extremely. Yeah, it's troublesome. And I think the thing that bothers me the most as I read through the various comment threads, mainly on like the newspaper sites. So the main ones I'll go check are Huffington Post comments. Then I head over to Fox News's comments because I like to see where their mind is at and if anything has changed over the past 30 years. And I'm always pleased to discover that nothing has changed. They still believe the same lies. They still tell themselves the same stories that lead to false conclusions. They still refuse to answer the same questions that have been getting posed to them for years. They refuse to answer the question. So we really can't move the conversation forward because they refuse to have a real conversation. Questions like, okay, well, what about once the baby gets here and that baby needs help because, the mom didn't have it to begin with? So that's kind of why she wanted an abortion. You forced her to have the baby. Now the baby needs diapers, formula. Y'all can barely make formula and keep that on the shelves. But what of the help that she's going to need? Oh, well, she shouldn't have been a welfare queen. And those are the exact words that they'll write, you guys. Like they have completely destroyed the minds of these people. Completely. They have them 100% hook, line, and sinker. And I was watching a video earlier. Exactly. Chat says, on top of everything else, staring us in the face, they want to add a bunch of extra babies with no formula and now potentially no money. I mean, didn't y'all have a diaper shortage earlier this year as well? Do I recall a diaper shortage? Anyway, I was watching a video earlier, and forgive me, y'all, because I just scroll through my watch later and I don't always take note of the creator, the title. But it was another creator reviewing another video. And what he was watching was a video, I think titled Confessions of an Ex KGB Spy or something like that. Basically, an ex Russian spy. And he was talking through how they go about demoralizing a country and and we probably should review that video, actually. I think that would be a good video to review. But he was talking through how a country gets demoralized. And it's an old video too. Has to be at least 20 or 30 years old, this video, if not older. And he was saying that basically America is already finished. that once you can get them thinking like you want them to think, believing what you want them to believe, and no evidence to the contrary can change their mind, you got them. So, one question I ask often on my main channel is how has narcissism grown? Why has narcissism grown? Y'all, I really believe we're in the end stages of a very long plan. Someone made a plan a couple of decades ago. They put it into motion, they enacted it. And now I think we are starting to live through the end stages of that plan, which is the population is completely divided. Everyone believes what they're going to believe, and nothing will change their minds. And there's nowhere to go but down from here. Like, we are literally ripe for takeover. We're 100% perfect to be taken over. I kind of think we already have, honestly. I think it's all happened quietly and beneath our detection. And now we've been taken over. So what exactly have we been taken over by? This mindset that we've been trying to describe for so many years, this narcissism thing. I do believe it goes beyond narcissism, which is why I did the whole covering of 1984, because the goal has always been to get the mind where they want it to be. And I say all this to say, reading these comments, some of the comments that I've read on the two different websites, just tells me that they're completely stuck. They've got them running on a hamster wheel, running in a circle, running in a loop regarding this issue, but they finally got what they wanted. So I think the first thing that's very important, well, hold on, let me finish that thought. They finally got what they wanted, right? Which was to overturn abortion. Then I think 26 states had trigger laws that essentially outlaw it completely. So they finally got what they wanted. But you have to keep asking yourself the question, why? To what end? What are they trying to accomplish by bringing in all these children that aren't wanted to begin with? What is the goal? So we'll talk through that a little bit. But why don't we take a look at what has actually happened, and then we'll get into a deeper conversation, okay? So this is the Huffington Post, published June 24, 2022, which was yesterday for me, and it might be yesterday for some of you. Roe versus Wade, Supreme Court overturns landmark ruling protecting abortion rights. The conservative majority court opened the door to state-level abortion bans that could force people to continue with unsafe and unwanted pregnancies. The Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade and Casey versus Planned Parenthood on Friday, dismantling the decades-old precedent that protected abortion rights and giving states the go-ahead to dramatically limit access to reproductive health care. The ruling in the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization case, written by Justice Samuel Alito, was not a surprise. A draft ruling was leaked to Politico and published in early May. The final ruling hews closely to the leaked draft. So basically, they were telling us what they were getting ready to do back in May. It says, "We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. The Constitution makes no reference to abortion, and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision, including the one on which the defenders of Roe and Casey now chiefly rely, the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. That provision has been held to guarantee some rights that are not mentioned in the Constitution, but any such right must be deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition." And implicit in the concept of ordered liberty, Alito continued. Abortion is not deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition, according to Alito, and therefore not protected as a right. I love it. You got to love it, guys. This nation's history and tradition. The same nation that held slaves, the same constitution that was written at a time where you were slaveholders and slave owners and slave masters, that history and tradition, or the history and tradition of discrimination and oppression and unfairness, which is deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. The history and tradition of owning people as chattel property, that one. Alito was joined in his decision by Justices Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote a separate concurrence, while the liberal minority of Justices Stephen Breyer, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor filed a joint dissent. The hardline conservative ruling will now go nationwide, allowing states to implement strict abortion restrictions that will force some people to continue unwanted and no, will force some women to continue unwanted and unsafe pregnancies. Victims of rape and incest will, in some states, have to go through the traumas of pregnancy, birth, and parenthood or adoption. Babies will be born with health conditions they suffer from and even quickly die from. People who aren't prepared or don't want to have children will have to have them anyway. The ruling does not end abortion rights entirely. Some states have vowed to protect abortion access and will likely become a safe haven for those seeking the procedure who are able to afford to travel. It's unclear how quickly the 22 states that already have laws limiting abortion will put their bans into effect, but some, including Missouri and Texas, acted quickly to enact their trigger bans in the wake of the ruling. And most state bans restrict abortion only after a certain point in pregnancy, often with exceptions. However, that's not always the case. In Oklahoma, the GOP controlled legislature passed a bill that would prohibit all abortions except if the life of the pregnant mother was in danger or if a rape had been reported to law enforcement. In other states, Republicans are increasingly pushing abortion restrictions that offer no exceptions for the victims of rape or incest. You got to wonder about this part right here. You really, really have to wonder about them saying, nope, not even if you were raped or kept in an incestual relationship. You got to wonder, guys, what is this about? What is this about? Why is this the only issue they care about? Why are they determined to see every life brought here? You can't tell me they're not operating under some sort of demonic influence. Who needs these children here essentially to watch them suffer and die on the street so they can sit on a high horse of sorts. Like, well, your parents should have just done what they were supposed to do and taken care of you. Now look at you, you're poor type situation. They are some of the most evil people on planet Earth. They really are. They really are. And some efforts to, and mainly they're evil, some of the most evil people on planet Earth, because these are also not the ones standing on the other side with open arms saying, listen, please have your baby. We'll take care of you and your child. We will help you get back on your feet. We will make sure you have food, clothing, diapers. Please keep your child. And we will make sure they have everything, universal health care to meet them on the other side. Great education, great schools. We'll make sure they have all of that. We'll make sure the property taxes get funneled into the neighborhoods that are going to have the majority of these children to make sure that they'll be okay. That's not what they're talking about. They want suffering absolute. They want suffering absolute. They want to punish you basically for going against what they believe to be their values and their value systems. But little do they know, it's often their daughters out here getting abortions for that very reason, because they come up in a deeply evangelical Christian home where sex is not supposed to occur except between a man and wife. And when it does, oops, especially out in those rural areas, honey, where there's nothing else to do. Nothing, like literally nothing. You can't even go to the gas station because it's like 10 miles away. You can't even go hang out up there. So it's nothing but land and houses dotted all over the place. Yeah, especially out there. But anyway, they want to punish you for you violating what they believe to be decent and moral and good. And I think what's so interesting about that to me is they basically take all of God's autonomy away from God. Like, if you truly believed in God like you said you did, and believe in God like you say you do, then you would leave it up to God to judge that person, not you. If God is adamantly against abortion and everything that comes with it, God will judge them, just like God is going to judge you for your unique sins. I love it. I love how they think that just because they may not have had an abortion in this life, that they're good people. Chat says the history of this country is, in fact, stealing and owning people, stealing land, and splitting up families. Absolutely. Chat says this is vile, the most disgraceful day in America since the election of the orange super narc. Chat says it's satanic. That's why. It is. It has to have an alternate meaning. They're not even operating under their own free will anymore. They are under the deep, deep mind control of something, because they will never answer that question. When you ask them about what about the food, what about all the support, their only answer is, well, you should have thought about that before you opened your legs. That's how childish and immature that they are. So, in other words, we don't care if the baby suffers as long as you are punished for your sexual decision. We don't care if the baby suffers. We don't care if the if the baby ends up poor, in poverty, on the streets. We don't care about any of that as long as the baby suffers. Excuse me, not the baby. The baby will suffer by proxy as long as you suffer for the decisions that you made, even though they make the same ones, they just do it quietly. So there's that. So then let's take a look at the trigger laws really quick. Abortion is now illegal in these states, published June 24th, 2022, the same day the Supreme Court struck down the constitutional right to abortion. Anti choice states started enacting trigger laws and other pre Roe v. Wade bans. Missouri and Texas were the first two states to swiftly ban abortion in the wake of the ruling. Trigger bans in Louisiana, South Dakota, and Kentucky immediately went into effect after the ruling came down. After certain state officials certified that Roe v. Wade had been overturned, trigger or pre Roe bans in Arkansas, Alabama, Utah, and Oklahoma went into full effect. The latter, despite Oklahoma already having a full abortion ban in place that deputized private citizens to enforce it. Like, how would you even know? That's what I want to know. So, you're a private citizen, you think you're G.I. Joe cop, and how would you, A, know that the girl was even pregnant to begin with? That would have to become public knowledge somehow. And then what are you going to follow her around until she has her baby, you psychopath? These people are psychopaths, y'all. Oh, we're about to talk about it. All of the recent bans have no exceptions for rape or incest. Only an exception if the life of the mother is at risk, although pro-choice experts point out that the language around these types of exceptions is vague. States such as West Virginia have not fully outlawed abortion, but they do have abortion bans on the books that predated the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. It's unclear how or when some of these pre-Roe bans will be implemented, forcing many clinics to stop services altogether to avoid risking the prosecution of the clinic, staff, or their patients. Unbelievable. Other states like Virginia, all these country backwoods states, sorry, all these country backwoods, dated back in time states like Virginia, Montana, Tennessee are not far behind. Many lawmakers are calling to swiftly enact abortion restrictions. Ohio implemented a 6-week abortion ban restriction on Friday after the Supreme Court decision freed up the ban that had been blocked in court for the last 3 years. More than 11.5 million women of reproductive age no longer have access to abortion care in the states that banned abortion on Friday. That number does not include many non-binary and genderqueer people who are able to get pregnant and will also no longer have access to these services. South Dakota's last abortion clinic was forced to pause services ahead of the Supreme Court ruling, anticipating the fall of Roe. Dr. Sarah Traxler, the chief medical officer and abortion provider for Planned Parenthood North Central States, told reporters that she flew in from her home state of Minnesota to South Dakota to twice a month provide care. Now she hopes those patients in South Dakota can reach her in Minnesota. How freaking sad, man. This is crazy. So sad. That's sad. So, yeah, the chat says the level of power these psychopaths want over women and girls is stunning. Like, chat says freaking terrifying in the era of big tech spying on us, right? Like, I use a period tracking app. Maybe I should delete it off my phone and just use pencil and paper, honey, because I don't want them to be like, oh, she didn't log it this month. She didn't log it. Someone go follow her. But in all seriousness, though, here's where I am, like mentally, and kind of where I've been mentally all day. It ain't safe out here, first of all. It's not safe out here for women. That's first and foremost. And like just the day before or a day before that one, like a day or two ago, the same Supreme Court basically ruled that it's not illegal to carry a gun to protect yourself. So, in other words, they struck down a lot of gun laws in places like New York City where you're not allowed to have a firearm unless you're a police officer, right? So, they actually increased access to guns a day or two before they outlawed abortion. You've got to wonder why. Why? Why would that be? What are they trying to achieve here? Now, I'm not anti personal protection. As a matter of fact, I encourage all you ladies, especially those of you who have been anti gun, you need to get pro and quickly, because you see that most of these states don't even want you to have an exception for rape or anything like that. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like we are up against this patriarchal nightmare monster beast. That's what we're up against. It's been so much more than making sure we have equal access to jobs and making sure that we have equal access to education and voting and things like that. Those were like the surface level issues. I don't think what we've been realizing that we've been trying to fight for this whole entire time is our life. We've been trying to fight for our lives because they are so determined to take it back to an era when women could not speak up for themselves. That's what they want. That's what they dream of. That's what they desire. And it is so connected to this whole incel, manosphere, men's rights movement ideology. It is deeply connected to that, deeply connected. And that's why I speak out against it so much, because it's all related. Because right now, you would think the manosphere, right? The same men who are anti child support, anti dating single mothers, anti any woman who has slept with more than one man. You would think that they would be happy that abortion existed, right? Because it helps them wipe away their mistakes as well, because they're whores at large. Like they encourage a man sleeping with as many women as he possibly can. And they really don't talk about birth control or men controlling their reproduction. They don't encourage that. They put it all on the woman. But you would think they'd be happy about that for those same children that they didn't want to take care of anyway. But y'all, they are rejoicing. They are rejoicing the overturning of Roe versus Wade, because to them, it's a punishment to you for being a whore. Don't you get it? Must punish the whores. Gotta punish those hoes. So to them, a child is a punishment. They view children as a punishment. They don't view children as something wonderful and good and beautiful. They view children as a punishment to both the woman and the man. So I love how the same men who claim they want to build the nuclear family and bring the nuclear family back up and raise it back up are also the same ones who view children as punishments. What great dads they're going to be. But they're happy about this, you guys. They don't even realize how it's going to affect them because essentially, when all these children are forced into the world, these same men who didn't want those kids are going to end up on child support, which is kind of beautiful karma. It really is. But the person who loses in that whole entire equation is the child. That's who loses. The child. Like it's just so sad to me. It is so sad to me for so many different reasons. But one of the reasons it's so sad to me is because these children are going to grow up knowing exactly who they are. Their mother is not going to hide their birth story from them. Like, probably every day, she's going to remind that kid, you're only here because the government made me have you, you know? And probably say things even worse than that, probably have worse things to say than that. And it's like they have to grow up with that. They have to grow up potentially with a father, more than likely with a father who doesn't want them, doesn't care about them. And it's sad because we see that now. We see that now with children whose parents or whose mom did not want to abort them. Like, well, yeah, I'm in this bad situation. The dad doesn't want it, but I'm going to go ahead and have the kid anyway. And we see how those men behave. We see how irresponsible they are, how psychotic they are when this woman gets pregnant. Some of them even take the life of the mother to avoid having children with her. And you want those kids brought here? It said, the chat says, if they think this is going to save America's collective soul, they're wrong. You're wrong. You have too much dirt under your fingernails. Way too much. Too many things that you have not atoned for. Too many crimes against humanity in general that you still haven't atoned for. But the same God you worship never forgot those crimes against humanity. Oh, absolutely. Chat says, and I bet more murders like that will be committed now. You better believe it, which is why I'm saying, ladies, please listen to me. If you live in a state, well, now pretty much everyone lives in a state like that. The Supreme Court struck down like pretty much all the gun laws that there are and basically said you have a right to arm yourself. And I know a lot of people are upset about that, especially in light of all the recent violence we've had. But I'm telling you, these men are about to go into overdrive. Because I believe personally that most of them, number one, are psychotic narcissists. I believe that through and through with every fiber of my being. But I also believe that they want to spread their seed far and wide, you guys. It's almost like, think about it like this. What is that sound? What the hell? Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Think about it like this. Let's say you have some flower seeds and you are riding around town on a bicycle. And every time you see like a patch of dirt that looks like it could grow some flowers, you toss your seeds in it and you keep riding. And you do that all over town on your bicycle. You ride around and you toss these flower seeds out the window, hoping to create all these beautiful flowers from your seeds. But you don't plan on taking care of them. You're not going to stop by and water them. You're not going to give them flower food. You're not going to trim them, hedge them up. You're not going to do anything like that. All you're going to do is just hope they take root and hope that as you ride around town, you can see all your beautiful flowers everywhere that you dropped. They're the exact same way. They're animals. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can fix this noise. I think I know what the problem is. I think I know exactly what it is. Hold on one second. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Hold, please. This little fucker. Oh, shit. I thought I muted. Oh, well. It was a bug. I thought I muted the thing, but I didn't. Oh, well. Well, you just got some live action PT. Okay. Anyway, And sorry about the vacuum noise. I really thought I muted the microphone. I was not trying to run a vacuum in you guys' ears. Problem solved. Anyway, um, they want to spread their seeds and they just want to know that their seed is out there. That's good enough for them. They don't want to be sorry, y'all. Always hit mute. Always make sure you're on mute. Um, they want to spread their seed everywhere and just know that their seed is out there because in their sick, sadistic minds, they think that they're that great. So they want their seed out there because they're secretly hoping their seed will become the next NBA star, the next NFL star, maybe a politician, maybe something great that they can associate themselves with, even if by proxy, to say, yeah, that's my son. Yeah, that's my daughter. That's what they're hoping for. That's what they're hoping for, because they really think that the greatness of their seed is such to where it'll become great even in their absence. It'll be great just because it came from me. I had trapped this little bug under my heater, to be honest, and it started trying to like escape, and it was disgusting, and it was like click click. Oh, okay, can't deal. You got to go. You got to go. Because I decided not to scream when I saw it. Some type of little beetle. So I just put the heater on top of it and I'm like, you just wait there until the show is over. But then it started like jumping. Ugh. So you had to go. Sorry. I'm sorry y'all had to hear that. But they really think by virtue of it coming from them that the child will be great even in their absence. That's what they want, y'all. They want to be like people like Nick Cannon in Future. They want 8, 9, 10, 12 different children. They want that. The difference is they just don't want to take care of it. So I say that to say and paint that scenario to say, I could see them out here taking advantage of women and forcing women to sleep with them, getting them pregnant, knowing they can't get rid of the child. And it does something else very, very important. It clips her wings. It makes it to where she can't really fly as high as she would like to, as quickly as she would like to. Now, a lot of women get pregnant, they have their children, and they still go on to accomplish whatever it is they wanted to accomplish, albeit with a little bit of struggle, though. Yeah, even if they themselves are not great, they believe their seed is so great that it will grow into this wonderful, massive tree that they can walk by and go, "Yeah, that's my son. My son, that's my son. That he came from me." That's what they want. I think deep down they really want them to be sports stars who go to the Super Bowl and the NBA Finals and all that. That's what they want, so they can stand courtside with their arms folded, going, "It's my boy. Yeah, that's my boy." And don't let it be more than one. Don't let them make more than one athlete or something like that, because then they're yeah, 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 they came from my seed. Or sometimes if they're just smart, if they're smart kids, if they're smart children, they yeah, yeah, all that intelligence comes from me, even though they had nothing to do with their upbringing. They want to do that, y'all. So that's why I say, ladies, it's time for you to adjust to the idea of being armed at all times because it's getting ready to get really, really ugly out here. Really, really, really ugly out here. But the other thing that's got me thinking is like this. Okay. So we just went through and still really are going through 2 years of madness and nonsense regarding the injection, right? And you all, for the most part, know where I stand on that. I did several shows on this channel before I got in trouble and moved it over to Odyssey, where I do plan on doing another show over there pretty soon, to discuss the different things that have been going on. But now I'm feeling like I don't know what to do because the Democrats were the one pushing forced injections, which I find reprehensible. I do. And oh man, well, I can't say that over here. Let's just say there have been a lot of consequences from that lately. There have been a lot of consequences from making people do that. That's the best I can say over here without getting myself in trouble. There have been a lot of consequences to that. And I really couldn't believe the same party that understands bodily autonomy could go for something like that. Like it left me out there. It disenchanted me. And I feel like I could never trust you again because you would just as soon do the same thing. They probably wanted it nationwide. Absolutely. It says, I was just thinking this. They just want to see the continuation of their lineage. That's it. They think their lineage is that great and that worthy to be reproduced and that worthy to be here over and over again. Those nightmare demonic terrorists, they think the world needs more of. So I really sat back these 2 years looking at the Democratic Party going, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? You can't be serious about this. Firing people, you know, not letting people travel. And I mean, various restrictions for someone choosing not to put that in their body. And that was them. That was the Democrats who were behind that. But then I look at the Republicans and they're over here on this kind of stuff, on forcing a woman to have a baby, even though the Republicans are the same ones complaining about the crime rates. Like where do you think criminals come from? They tend to come from broken homes. And yes, some criminals have come from homes that were not broken at all, completely 100% intact. But a lot of criminals come from broken homes, and you're basically trying to create more broken homes. Here's what I think the Republicans think is going to happen. I think the Republicans think that in the absence of abortion, people will get married more. I think they think in the absence of abortion, people will control themselves and simply either not have sex or be more responsible with their reproduction, like using contraceptives and birth control pills, things of that nature. And I think they really think that people will start to behave if this option is removed. And while that's very cute, it's also very childlike and very short-sighted and refusing to acknowledge human nature and what human beings actually do. Says it's two evils fighting with each other, one thinking they're better than the other. Absolutely. The historians are saying they've never seen Democrats this mad since Republicans ended slavery in the 1860s. Oh, ha ha. A male YouTuber I mistakenly watched would ask women if they had children. If they said no, he would ask them if they've ever been pregnant, as if it should matter. They relish in women being trapped. Yes, they do. They're sick. If you haven't checked out the Sick and Dangerous Men series on Permission to Exist, please do so, because this is a sick bunch that we are dealing with. A super sick bunch. Like, this is their whole mindset. Their whole mindset is around making sure you're basically punished for being a woman and for what you have between your legs. Like, they're angry, they're mad. Most of them are mad that they can't get with women is the problem. But even the ones who can get women are still mad. Something's wrong with them, y'all. They're insane. So back to the thought thread. I'm just like, where where is it safe for a woman to be in this world? Where is it safe for a woman to be? It's obviously not the United States of America, but I don't know that other countries are doing all that well either. Like, where is it safe for a woman at any stage of her life, really? Because what they would basically say is it's safest for you when you are married to a good, strong alpha man. That's when you're safest. And you know what you sound like to me? You sound like the Taliban, basically. You sound like the Taliban. who feel like you're only allowed to step outside if you have a man walking next to you. You're not really allowed to go anywhere by yourself. You need to be spoken for by some man. And that's what makes you a valid woman. Because see, here's what they don't like. The idea of a free woman, I believe, is what is actually driving them crazy. A woman who can decide not to be a mother, a woman who can decide not to be a wife. That's what's driving them crazy because they feel like it's your duty to birth and raise children, basically. All women, even women that they deem unattractive, undesirable, whatever you want to call it, her unattractive, undesirable self should still be bringing up two children for some unattractive, undesirable man. So, in other words, all men are entitled to at least one woman. And if you're a lower level man, well, then you just need to find a lower level woman, but she needs to be knocked up with kids. Barefoot in the kitchen is a real thing. And when they see a woman who is not that, it literally eats them alive. It keeps them up at night. It causes them to go bald. That's why so many of them are bald, because this is what they spend all their time thinking about. Free women. And of course, a free woman has to be sexually promiscuous and a slut, of course. But with who, though? Who is she being promiscuous with? Men. So maybe it's the men who need to be controlled and vasectomized and all of that because she's being promiscuous with men. They wouldn't care if she was being promiscuous with women. They care that she's being promiscuous with men. So if she didn't have any demand, there would be nothing to supply. But they're never going to have that conversation. They're never going to own up to their piece or their portion of this situation. Never. They'll never own up to it. Never. And so again, it leaves me in a place like, is there anywhere left on earth to go? I was looking up earlier countries that will let you move with your pets. It's a very complicated process, very involved process, almost not worth it, you know, because they want you to, not all of them, but some of them want you to quarantine them for a couple of days. Then, of course, there's the plane ride itself. They might have to ride in cargo. They got to be up to date on all their vaccinations. They got to sometimes get inspected by a veterinarian in that country and given clearance. Like very traumatizing for a small animal. But I was looking that up earlier. Countries that will let you move with your pet. Chat says, are they going to stop pregnant women at airports from flying out of certain states, even just to travel for any reason? They'll probably try to escalate it to that. Like, ladies, I'm at the point now where I would say, don't tell anyone you're pregnant until it's 100% obvious. Like, people looking at you just feel like, oh, yeah, she's pregnant. And that'll be a different time for every woman, but it's not always obvious. Like you can be 4 months pregnant sometimes and it's not really showing yet. I've seen women who are like 8 months pregnant, and if they just put on a big shirt, you would have no idea. But I think you should keep that to yourself and keep it close to the vest. And of course, if you are with the father, the father should know, obviously. And if y'all are together, he will know. But my point is, you shouldn't be telling anybody your business. Those of you who are blessed to work remotely, like keep that camera like from the chin up, basically. If you get pregnant and you have a full-time job, but they make you come on camera all the time, I would keep that camera from like the chin up. Maybe a little bit of my neck. You'll see a little bit of my neck, my chin, and the rest of my face. But you could go a whole pregnancy and not say a word. Don't tell anybody because these people are psychotic. And I could see them definitely following you around, trailing you to see where you go, see where you've been, try to keep track of it like the nutcases that they are. But y'all, honestly, like I'm ready to leave this country. I know that other countries have some levels of abortion restriction, but some of them do not, because they understand that that's really between you and God and your healthcare provider. That's your business. Like, if God is going to judge you and condemn you for that, well, then that's between you and God. But it's no one else's business. Only in America do they try to make everyone else's business their own business. Like, only in America do they try to control absolutely everything that you do. But for no real reason, though. Like, it almost feels like China in reverse. So, China, for a long time, had a two-child policy, and I think they recently expanded it to 3. So, I think the chat says, "Sounds like it." I think it was Missouri that was already trying to prevent women leaving the state for abortion because it's accessible in Illinois for now. Like, give it a shot. Like, yeah, okay, you're gonna stand at the border and stop what? Every car that has a woman in it? See, I'm prone to troll. I'm prone to trolling, and I would be prone to, like, if they keep this up and take it, like, nationwide, or they try some shit in Georgia, I'm prone to go on Amazon and buy one of those little silicone bellies, put it on, and just go somewhere I know they're gonna be, and when they see me, they'll be like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you for keeping your baby." I'm like, "Oh, this baby? Oh, I was actually on my way to the clinic right now." And make them follow me, make them chase me down, make them call the police, make them do all of that, only to pull out the fake belly later. Like, I'm completely prone to do something like that. I'm prone to submit a lot of false reports for people who don't really exist and make them chase down rabbit holes that aren't really existing. Like, I'm prone to troll, okay? I'm not saying you should troll. I'm just telling you who I am. I'm prone to troll, okay? I'm prone to go eat a really big meal, really one of those big meals that makes you sit back in your chair a little bit. And if someone didn't know better, they'd be like, "Girl, are you pregnant?" I'm prone to eat a big meal like that and then just go walk around you and be like, "Yeah, I'm like 4 months. I'm gonna go take care of this." Just to screw with them, just so they'll follow me. Kind of like how you want to take a scammer and waste their time. Same thing. I just want to waste their time because it's just so like I just can't get over this, you guys. I can't get over it. In a country that already has supply chain issues, not only with baby formula, but everything else, they're predicting shortages with meat, eggs. All these food processing plants keep going up in flames mysteriously, you know? Toilet paper, let's never forget the toilet paper shortage they had a year or 2 ago. Like, some things are still not back in stock. They're still having supply chain issues. But somehow you think bringing more babies who actually aren't wanted here will somehow fix that? Like, it's stunning. I don't know what to say, y'all. It's beyond sad. I feel so sorry for the women and girls who are in situations with abusive men who probably get them pregnant all the time and were the ones driving them down to the clinic for the abortion. I heard a story on one of my true crime channels that I watch where this father essentially kidnapped his daughters and got them pregnant for like 19 years straight and then kept them down like in their basement. So the girl goes missing. No one can find her. And where she was down in a basement with like 6 of her father's children. Some of you may have heard that story before. And like situations like that, obviously not that extreme, but there are situations like that all over the country. These women who are in unsafe situations, who oftentimes the man who got them pregnant is the one who takes them to have the abortion because you can't tell on the pastor like that. You can't tell on the reverend like that. You can't ruin his good name like that. You're 13. So he's going to drive you to get your little abortion. And once you heal, he's going to get you pregnant again. Chat says women forced to have babies should take all these infants to the conservatives' houses and leave them on their porches. They should wake up to screaming infants every day, absolutely every day of their lives. From this day forward, they should wake up to a screaming baby. I think that they should start an adoption movement. Put your money where your mouth is. Say, look, my family and I can afford to take in 2 unwanted babies. So 9 months from now, when they start rolling out, you're on the list for 2 of them. Take them. Take care of them. Your tax money is going to take care of them anyway, so take care of them. Like, raise them up in the good Christian household. Do that. Like, I 100% support that. And they all should sign up to adopt these children. But y'all, this message is primarily to my Black audience. We got to get out of here, y'all. I'm serious. I'm not playing. We have to leave this country for more reasons than one. For more reasons than this. This is just part of it. Because you know this is going to hit our community the hardest. This is just part of it, though. We got to get out of here. It was never going to work. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It was actually never going to work. How could it? How could we as a people ever truly thrive in a country that once thought we weren't even human beings? How? Like, why would we ever think that? Why would we ever think the change of heart would be so great that we could ever actually catch up without something like reparations or something similar? That the change of heart and that the systems that were already in place before we were free would somehow magically just correct themselves. Like, and make it equal and balanced. We got to get out of here, you guys. We have to know when we've been checkmated. I know we've invested a lot in this place. Our ancestors built this place up from the ground up forcefully, by force. So yes, we have a lot of history here. Our people are buried here and all of that. I get that, but we got to go. We have to get out of here. We have to, because I feel like everything they do and are doing is to basically same thing they're doing to women. Punish us for even existing here. They know that this is going to destroy the Black community or have a deeply negative impact on the Black community, but they don't care because seeing the Black community struggle tells them that they're still in charge and still in control. They like driving past impoverished, downtrodden people, but in particular, impoverished, downtrodden Black people. They like it. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel like this is still their country. It never was their country, but it makes them feel like it. I was watching something called $40 Million Slave that really got me thinking differently about everything I've been through, in particular, like in the workforce. And that video is actually about baseball and Jackie Robinson, I think. But it's a book that they're reading out loud. But the start of it made me go, wow, girl, this is why you've had so many problems on the job. This is why, because they start to list out what was expected of the slave. And essentially what was expected of the slave was smile, put your head down. Even when something is bad, you call it good. And don't ever, ever show that you're upset about anything. It was something like smile, stuff your anger, be agreeable, and never ever show that you're frustrated about what's happening. And those were the expectations. And when I heard it, I was like, wow, that sounds like me trying to work in corporate America in 2000, in the 2000s. So I say that to say, in addition to the psychotic patriarchy that has run wild, y'all, we have to get out of here. We have to go. Slowly but surely, we have to expatriate from this place because I think it's only going to get worse. Like the criminals have taken over and designed policies that are so comprehensive they will never change, short of something catastrophic happening to the earth, to the country, that it'll never change. They've got it in lockstep. They've completely locked it down. And this is another way to ensure your everlasting poverty. Personally, I really don't think there's that many abortions happening anyway. I think they're lying. I think they're lying and exaggerating the numbers. I really do. I do. But it doesn't matter because a woman who's poor, who finds herself pregnant, is going to become more poor. So we got to get out of here. But we'll talk about that another day because the question is, where do we escape to? Because here's something else I was thinking about, y'all. America is falling for many different reasons, but one of the reasons America is falling is we are allowing the influences of other places to run our country. So, how can I say this in the most diplomatic and political way I can possibly say it? We were supposed to be a land of justice and liberty and freedom and things like that. But more and more, when you have people running corporations in America from places that don't believe the same things in justice, freedom, liberty, all that stuff, eventually their mindset starts to creep into the country, basically. So look at who's running the big tech companies. Look at who's running the other big corporations. There's a major rental company who I think has purchased 40,000 homes in America. All this time, I thought they were an American rental company. They are owned by somebody overseas. So they are not an American based company. They are actually owned. The CEOs are from another place. And I believe personally, this company is responsible for not only the financial devastation of hundreds of thousands of Americans, but also the homelessness of such because they don't care. They didn't come up on the same value system. You know, they're from places that don't value human life like that. So then you get all this money that you probably extracted from your people. You come buy all this property in America. And before you know it, America is starting to mirror other places that don't value human rights in the same way. I'm trying to be diplomatic about this. So in other words, let me see if I can set it up for you. Let's say there's a country that doesn't mind sweatshops, unethical sweatshops, as long as they're getting the product out, right? Then a CEO from one of those countries that doesn't mind unethical sweatshops, might even own a few, suddenly opens some massive business in the country. But the CEO is from a place where they don't value human life, dignity, or anything like that. Well, that CEO is probably going to run that American company much in the same way. And before you know it, that mindset has been passed down. That's why criminality is at an all-time high. On top of the American criminals, the native criminals, you have criminals from other places in here as well now. So, like, I've just been thinking about so much today. I'm like, there's no coming back from this. Now, in the last live stream I did on this topic, I did say that I want them to live out the consequences of their actions. There's a part of me that deeply wants them to experience the consequences of all of this, all of it. And they're about to. We all are, though. That's the problem. And that's the problem with narcissists and also with stupid people. They do things that not only hurt themselves, but they hurt other people as well. The mind blowing part is the fact that they would do anything to hurt themselves, but they will because they're stupid. Check out those live streams on Permission to Exist if you miss them. But that's what it is. Because I do wonder where do you think this is going from here, honey? Where do you think all these children are going to live? How will they afford rent? Because you certainly won't ever let them buy a house. So how will they afford rent? Are the colleges prepared to handle this? Although I think the colleges might have something to do with this because enrollment has been down in colleges for the first time, I think they said in decades. So I think it's down 4.1%. College enrollment is down. So people are either just sick of it or there aren't enough people to go to the schools. It's one or the other or both. Either people are just not seeing the return on investment or they're not seeing the benefit of college, which is debatable, or there just simply aren't enough people to enroll in them. They're not there. They don't exist. There is a missing generation. There is. And they have run those numbers and assessed and determined that if this trend continues, all of their ill-begotten wealth and businesses and gains are going to go up in smoke because there won't be anybody to actually utilize them. It's really, truly about a workforce. That's what it's about. And birth rates, which are also down. So the reason a lot of these fast food restaurants have been able to survive into the future is because they've had quite the workforce to do so. But as their current workforce gets older and starts to age out, nobody's replacing them. Like I know y'all see hiring signs all over the place for like little various fast food restaurants and things. They're serious. They're hiring. Mm. I saw a sign the other day that said always hiring. I was like, dang, their hiring is like a revolving door. Like we are always hiring for people. Always. They're desperate. They're getting desperate. Even in like the white collar world, the corporate world, they're getting desperate because a lot of these people are not coming back to your miserable office. They're just not. And they're threatening. I think Elon Musk threatened his people and was like, if you don't come report to the building on this day, you're fired. I wonder how that went. Something like that. They're threatening people. On job applications, I'm seeing things like, this is a hybrid work environment where you will be expected to report in person 3 days a week, 4 days out of the week, and then any other remote arrangements can be discussed with your manager. Oh, speaking of that, going back to what I was talking about earlier, the whole $40 million slave thing. It was talking about how, no, that was a different show I was watching. Basically, if a slave wanted to, this is when they were starting to gain some freedom. If they wanted to leave one plantation and go to another one, their current plantation owner basically had to write them a letter of recommendation, basically. And more often than not, they either wouldn't get the letter or they would not get positive things said about them on the letter. So wherever they were trying to go, they would reject them because their current plantation master owner didn't have positive things to say about them. What does that sound like to you? So, like, sound familiar? That sounds like, y'all, we gotta go. And now I'm addressing everyone. Everyone with any sense has to get out of this place because it's doomed. It's literally run by psychopaths, the corrupt, narcissists at its nth degree. Narcissism to the nth degree. Chat says, I think people will now be more cautious when engaging in sexual activities. Dream on, honey. Says every situation is different, but it's what happens when you have sex. Imagine being the baby who survived an abortion. Rarely happens, first of all. And second of all, dream on. You think too highly of human beings. Way too highly. You think far too highly of human beings. You think it's gonna have a controlling effect. You think it's gonna have a chilling effect. It's not, honey. This place is finished. It was finished decades ago. It might have been finished. It might have been doomed from the start, to be honest with you. That would be an interesting show. Doomed from the start? Question mark. America may have been doomed from day one, but it's not going to happen. It's still people are still going to do what they're going to do. However, what I do hope to see happen is women go on a general strike, which I've called for before. Just refuse all sexual activity with all men everywhere. But you know what that's going to do? Send you all off a cliff because you feel so entitled to relieve yourself in a sexual way. You feel so entitled to it. You feel like you have to because I'm a man and I have to release this urge. So y'all are just going to go psychotic and crazy if the women stop sleeping with you. We all should order chastity belts and wear them at all times. But then most of you will just flip out into some sort of violent incel rage. It's the men who need to be controlled, honey. Truly. Think about it like this. If I meet a man tomorrow, will I or will I not become his baby's mom or the mother of his child? And the answer is, well, it depends. It's like, yeah, it does depend. What does it depend on? Well, whether or not y'all have sex and you get pregnant from it. Absolutely. But, you know, truly, what it depends on is his yes. He has to say yes. Let's say I meet a man tomorrow who I like a lot and I'm attracted to him and I think he would be a great everything. Does that mean I'm going to become one of the mothers of his children or the mother of his children? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on him. He has to participate. He has to walk through the door. But men don't want to control themselves. They've never wanted to control themselves, ever. It's always been on the woman to do so. And I wish more women could just see you for who you really are. I really do. I wish more of them could see you for who you really are. It's sad. It's so sad. It's beyond sad. Yeah, stock up now. It says you can't even find Plan B on Amazon. Y'all better stock up on not only Plan B, but also regular birth control. Like if you're not active right now, just go get a prescription anyway and just fill it every single month or however often they'll let you fill it and just hold on to it until it expires, basically. I'm thinking about doing it like this weekend. See where I can go, just set up a little quick appointment, get a prescription real quick, and then just fill it and just hold on to it. Even if not for me, for someone else. So what's interesting though is that the same people who are excited about this and happy about this are also the same people who are anti-forced injection, but they don't realize they pretty much opened the door for that to be okay. They've laid the groundwork and the foundation for that to be okay. So it's kind of like it feels it feels like they've been trying to poke and prod us into the meat grinder, but they've been poking us from different directions, but we're all headed towards the meat grinder, honey. You thought you were walking away from the meat grinder, you're walking right towards it. And vice versa. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I do think they're going to try to take it nationwide. I do think Georgia is going to try some foolishness with this and probably Florida too. And like, it's just so sad. It's sad. It really is. Because they're not going to change anything else to actually make life better over here or on the other side of having a child. Like they don't even have maternity leave and paternity leave as part of a national program. They don't even have it. So it's like, this is not the place to raise children. It's not the place to plant your roots. The question is, where is though? Where is? And that's what I need to find the answer to. Because I promise you guys, I'm out of here. I'm out of here, especially if I find a place that will accept your pets with relative ease. I'm leaving. There's no incentive to stay here. There's no incentive to stay, but worldwide, though, it feels like women are under attack. Obviously, in countries like Afghanistan or anywhere there's like Taliban type rule, it feels like women are under constant scrutiny, constant attack, constantly worried about what's going on with our bodies and inside of our bodies and who's allowed inside of our bodies and who's not. And God, it is just so exhausting being a woman. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It really is. And annoying. But all that really does is activate my inner troll. It really does. Every now and then my troll goes to sleep. And I let her sleep. I let her get her rest. But stuff like this just activates my inner troll. It really does. Because I feel like you could sue the state then. If the state outlaws abortion and you wanted one, which was a medical right up until a certain point, then you should be able to sue the state for all of your child care then. That's what I think. Why not? Because you basically have taken ownership of the child. You've spoken ownership over the child, basically saying that anything that you produce within my state is mine. Well, then take care of your baby then. Chat says maybe Singapore. Got to look into it. There's got to be a place where people are essentially left alone. Like, there's got to be a place, you know? Because then I even think about women who might suffer an actual miscarriage. Like, is she going to get questioned now? Like, did you really have a miscarriage? Or did you do something to make the baby not be in your body anymore? Like, wow. Wow, man. You know what I mean? Like, I could see a woman suffering a legit miscarriage being interrogated by the state. I just saw an article earlier today. I think it was Glenn Close. It was somebody said she had 9 miscarriages. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Let's see if it's still in my feed. It said that she had 9 miscarriages. I'm like, and what do you say to a woman like that? Oh, yeah, right. That's probably what they would say. Let me see. Had 9 miscarriages. It was Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone said that she suffered 9 miscarriages. Yes, it's been ramping up for the past 10 to 15 years. It was Sharon Stone. That came out yesterday. 9 miscarriages. So would she be at risk? Like she keeps showing up every couple of months miscarrying. Would you be questioning her, interrogating her, trying to figure out how she miscarried, why she miscarried, if she did anything to bring that about? You see what I mean? Like, how dare you? Like, I hope women don't ever have another baby for you. I really do. Just to spite you. Just to spite you. Just refuse to have any more children, period. Like, go on secretive birth control and just refuse to produce for you. That needs to be the strike. Like, if you're pregnant now and you're seeing it through to the end, do so. And then after these last couple of babies are born, we shouldn't let them worry about abortion ever again because we're not going to have any more babies for you. period. Like you can forget it. You can forget it. You can forget it from me. I wouldn't bring a child into this hellhole. But see, now they're trying to make it like if I'm lucky and I play my cards right, I will 100% achieve my plan. But in the off chance that say someone violates me, basically they're trying to make it where I'd be forced to have that baby, and I promise you I wouldn't. Chat says a fetus is a life and deserves their chance. That's why it was created, just like you and me. This is taking responsibility for your actions if you can see it from a different perspective. I don't think the issue is me seeing it from your perspective. I think the issue is you seeing it from mine. Yeah, other fetuses deserve life too, like chickens. Chicken chicks deserve to live. Chickens deserve to live. Cows deserve to live. Fish deserve to live. You don't think those mother cows and mother chickens and all that feel sad when you take their babies away from them to slaughter them? So if y'all want to do this, you need to align fully. Put an end to the meat industry. And yes, I'm a meat eater, but from a from a moral standpoint, if you're really truly against life being taken unnecessarily, well then stop killing animals to eat them. And that includes hunting. For those of you who like to hunt, stop killing animals to eat them then. You don't think the mama deer is sad when you slaughter her baby in front of her for sport, for fun? A fetus is life and deserves the chance. Well, I agree with you, Hugh. I actually agree that they deserve a chance. But guess what? You all have created a country where if you're not essentially a millionaire, that fetus has no chance. And you know that. You know that it doesn't stand a chance. You know that if the parents are impoverished, that kid has no chance. You know that. And yet you're okay with that. And you're okay with maintaining the conditions that make sure that child has no chance. That's why I can't take you seriously. You're hypocrites. You're hypocrites of the highest order. You're against welfare, which is designed to care for the women and children that you want to be here in the first place. You should be pro welfare. Like, good, at least she had her baby. Now here's a little bit of money to help her out because money is required. So we made it. We made what? Absolutely. Chat says they deserve a chance to eat and have a home and be able to support themselves when they grow up. They deserve that too. Yes, they do. They deserve a shot at life. We made it. We survived. Are you kidding me? You call this let me ask you this. Should life be about surviving or thriving? Hugh, should life be about surviving or thriving? Because if we're just out here surviving, that means we're up against a lot of elements that are trying to take us out, correct? And aren't we arrived enough and intelligent enough as a species to design a world where people thrive? Because I assume you're a Christian if you're on this. Doesn't Jesus say I've come that they may have life and have it more abundantly? Well, if you really believe that, you would be all about the abundant life for everybody, but you're not. Both will always Hugh says that both would always be the goal. Why? That's silly. Why, when you can eliminate the survival aspect? We don't have to be out here surviving. We're not barbarians anymore. We're not cave beasts anymore. We don't have to just be scrapping and scraping to survive. That's silly. That's been set up by man, but man refuses to undo that. So somebody will always fall to the bottom, always, because that is the design. And you're okay with that, though. Why are you okay with that, Hugh? Why are you okay with the fact that you know for a fact some children don't stand a chance in hell based on the parents that they're going to be born to, and you want to force them into that situation anyway. Why? What do you think that's going to accomplish? The chat says the forced birth crowd is not about life, it's about barbaric, cruel misogyny, dehumanizing women and girls. Absolutely. He said survival should be the goal. Like, are you serious? That's what I told. Didn't I tell y'all they believe in suffering? Isn't that what I told you? What a perfect example. Because if you're surviving, think about it. If you're surviving, that means that you are trying to duck and dodge something that's trying to take you out, correct? So, or something serious has happened that you're trying to overcome in order to survive. That's surviving. That is surviving. You had some sort of major circumstance to overcome. What I'm saying is most of the major circumstances we're trying to overcome are man-made. It's not like we're out here. Well, we are fighting natural disasters, as a matter of fact, but it's not like by virtue of the rugged terrain, people are out here surviving. Most of you live on paved concrete. So most of the things that we're having to overcome are man-made, but you don't seem to have a problem with that. And I'm trying to figure out why. Chat says, I survived and was adopted. Don't recommend. What do you not recommend? The adoption part or the survival part? It says, a mother trying to chop me up in the womb. First obstacle. Did your mom try to abort you? Yes, misery is man-made. 100%. What do you think is going to happen to all these children, Hugh, who grow up knowing that the only reason they're here is because the federal government forced their birth? But that same federal government doesn't care about their actual life. Yeah, misery loves company. Let me tell you what else I believe, y'all. I believe this with all my heart and soul. I believe that a lot of these pro-lifers actually really did not enjoy raising their children. It wasn't fun for them. They didn't like it. If they could do it all over again, no, they may not have aborted, but they just would have avoided the pregnancy altogether. So, because their kids ruin their life, they look at it like a major sacrifice. Like, hey, look, I sacrificed my youth. I sacrificed my money. I sacrificed my good looks. I sacrificed my time to raise these children. You need to do the same thing. That's how they think. Like, if you bypass what they consider to be misery, they're angry at you because you didn't have to experience the same thing. And they desperately want you to go through the same thing that they did. Because the truth of the matter is, most of them should not have had children, married or not. They were not equipped to have children in any sense of the imagination. By any stretch of the imagination, should they have ever had children. Some people are simply not supposed to reproduce, but they did anyway. They suffered dearly for it. And now they want you to go through the same thing. Hugh said, life finds a way. Boy, you are out of your mind. You're crazy. Or actually, I think Hugh might be a woman, actually. I think the last time I got in an argument with Hugh, Hugh said that he or she was a woman. Whatever you are, male or female, you're out of your mind. And you're delusional, honey. Quite a large number. Chat says, I'm afraid many of them will be abused, neglected, abandoned, trafficked, or actually murdered. Yeah, the exact same thing that's happening to the unwanted children who are already here. Like, I recently watched a video that said the foster care system is basically a hotbed for human trafficking. that a lot of human trafficking comes out of that system. Now, I didn't research that independently, but that's what this person was saying, that a lot of these kids get into the system and they they end up being human trafficked straight out of the foster care system. Chat says, I think most people aren't supposed to reproduce. I couldn't agree with you more. I really couldn't. They just think that just because just because you made it, it's going to turn out great. Like you probably like Disney movies too. Like you're probably your head is in the clouds in that way, Hugh. Like romance comedy face ass. Like Disney movie face ass. Like your head is in the clouds. Y'all don't dwell in reality, and that's why we can't ever get anything real done, because you don't dwell in reality. You dwell in fantasy land. Hugh says, why can't a woman nurture her baby? Why does she need to kill it? Inconvenience? Yeah, I'm a woman of a certain age, no kids. Well, fur kids. Don't have sex if you don't want a baby. I thought I remembered you saying that you were a woman. There's a million answers to that first question. Why can't a woman nurture her baby? Some women do. Lots of women nurture their babies. But you're assuming the person who gets pregnant, that just because she gets pregnant, she's going to be a good mother. That is a false assumption. Do you know how many women go through postpartum depression who actually intended to have the baby and intended to be good mothers and still end up for those first couple of months and sometimes first couple of years basically neglecting the baby because she was in such a deep depression? Hormones were way out of whack. That's one reason a woman can't nurture a baby. Another reason a woman can't nurture a baby sometimes is because she's psycho. She's nuts. She's crazy. She never should have gotten pregnant in the first place, but she did. It's like, I feel like you all need a huge dose of, but here we are now. It's like, hey, we were supposed to get off on that exit 10 exits ago. It's like, yeah, we were, but here we are now. Now, what do we do? Do we turn around? Do we try to find a different route? Because we can't go backwards. That's your problem. We can't go backwards. Once she's pregnant, she's pregnant. We can't reverse that. Well, we can a little bit for now, but pretty soon we won't be able to. And you want the same woman who almost killed her baby to raise the baby. Are you psychotic? Why would you want a woman who thought about aborting the baby and is only having the baby because you're making her? Why would you want her to raise that child? What kind of life do you think that child will have? But y'all don't think that far ahead. You don't think that far ahead. You just don't. And that's what makes you guys so disappointing on levels I can't even explain to you. You don't think ahead. You don't think into the future. Hugh is lost, y'all. Hugh is lost in the sauce. Hugh says, you owe it to that child. Yeah, a lot is owed to that child. Well, Hugh, tell me this. How do you feel about universal health care? Meaning every citizen born on American soil has access to health care. Interesting. The chat says 50 to 80% of human trafficking victims came from the foster system. See what I mean? I really think that's what they want. They're running out of kids to traffic, so they need more. Hugh, how do you feel about universal health care? Hugh says she better learn. Right. After she's already pregnant. Right. Yep. They live in fantasy land, y'all. They watch reruns of Leave It to Beaver and TV shows like that. They watch reruns and just daydream and even like keep their homes locked in a certain era. I wish I could explain it to you. Like from the wallpaper to the appliances to everything because like they fell in love with this one little time frame in the world, which really was artificial to begin with, but it was so well marketed they had you believe that it was real life, and they want that, and they believe that they can achieve that again, and they can't. It's too far gone, honey. The system is too stressed. It was never designed to accommodate this many people, and it was never designed to scale up with this many people ever. You can't even take care of your citizens now. You can't even take care of what you have now. How can you be more responsible for a larger number of people when you can't even take care of the people that you have now? You can barely make it happen. If this society were great, you wouldn't have crime rates through the roof like you do. You wouldn't have abject ignorance and stupidity running wild like you do. But you do. You've done a really, really piss poor job with this society, and you want to bring more people to it as if it's great. It would be one thing if poverty were at like less than 0.25% and everyone was intelligent, thriving, considerate, courteous, empathetic, compassionate, loving, warm, the type of place where you can literally leave your front door unlocked and no one's going to bother you, type of place where you can leave out something valuable. Let's say you were on the back porch with your laptop. You could leave your laptop out there all night. Don't have to worry about anyone coming along, taking it. Honest, trustworthy society, thriving, nobody's starving, nobody's hungry, no supply chain issues, no one has to go without health care. I see Hugh still hasn't answered my question, which is how do you feel about universal health care? It would be one thing if that's the type of society that we had, you know? A society where you basically know if I have a child, yeah, nobody's homeless. How could I leave that out? Nobody's homeless. Like you can buy your first house at age 19 if you want to, sell it at age 21, be in your second house easily. Easy. Like it's second nature. Like it's not a big deal. Like everyone had their first house at 18, 19 years old. Not a huge deal, you know. The only people renting are people who are maybe getting a house built. So they just are renting temporarily because they're getting their new house built. Those would be the only renters. Or people who are going to be in town for a couple months for work and don't want to buy a house just because they're working in the city for 6 months. That's silly. So those would be your renters. Transients who are in town temporarily and people who are in need of temporary shelter but not permanent. That's who your renters would be. Oh, Hugh. Hugh said, and by the way, Hugh claims to be a female. And I have no choice but to believe Hugh because I don't know who this is. Says play reproductive games, win reproductive prizes. Women will be more careful now. That's a good thing. Healthcare is pretty cool. Hugh, why not men? How come you left out men, Hugh? You see how you automatically kowtow to men and you just left men out of the equation? You don't think men should be more careful because it is their wallet that's going to be getting hit with child support every month? Play reproductive games, win reproductive prizes. Yep. And guess who loses? Guess who loses in that little game? The child that you claim to care so much about. So you don't care that they might be born to irresponsible parents as long as they're born. Like, what kind of broken logic is that? Why is y'all's logic so broken? Who put you in this mindset? Who made you this way? How did you become this way? That's why I don't believe you're a woman. I really don't. And then said healthcare is pretty cool. That's not what I asked you. I asked you, how do you feel about universal healthcare? Meaning everyone gets it. Everyone gets it and it's guaranteed and probably funded from your taxes. How do you feel about that? Oh, thank you. They included men too. Thanks. What an honorable mention. Honorable mention. Chat says so many Americans are already poor. How many people can really afford a baby right now? Like two parent household couples who are married with both having good jobs can barely afford babies right now. Those girls have one or two babies and then they either get their tubes tied or they go on some kind of birth control or both. Because even with they and their husband's income, they can't afford it. So you say, true, both men and women need to own the result of their sexy times or no sexy times. Cute. So, but they don't. So now what? So they don't. So now what? So they didn't. They chose not to. Now what? You see what I mean? Just short sighted as hell. Short sighted. I want to know who raised you guys and why they trained you up to think like this and why they trained you up to think that this is the only issue that matters in this world. Like this is the most important thing going on. It's like, okay, we forced all the babies to be here. Now what? Are you going to improve the schools and the school system? You're going to update that? What about nutrition and food and access to food? You're going to update that? You're going to make home ownership easier for people? You're going to try to convince these employers to start hiring people and drop all the ridiculous nonsense requirements they have for jobs that really aren't that serious to ensure that all these babies are going to have a job to go to in 18 years? What about the colleges? You going to make college more affordable? You're not going to do any of those things. You just want them here for some weird reason. It makes you feel better. It's so strange, which is why I've said to people like Hugh in the chat, you need to move smack dab in the middle of the hood then. There's kids everywhere. Go out there. Be a part of the community. Come out of suburbia, sell your home, buy a modest home in the middle of the hood, and go live out there since you want to be around all these people. Seems like y'all just want a bunch of people around you. No. Chat says, does Hugh have any real solutions for actual problems here, or are they stuck on fantasy? What about the massive teacher shortage, Hugh? Schools across the country are bleeding teachers. Hugh, who is going to teach the kids, Hugh? See, y'all don't think, this is why y'all shouldn't be in charge of anything. Anything, because you don't think. You don't think. You don't think. Hugh is not to be taken seriously, unfortunately. But this is pretty much what you get, though. When you try to talk to one of them in a chat thread or anything like this is what you get. They think it's all a game because most of them sit back on a piece of property, on a piece of ill-begotten property, and tell the rest of the world what they're supposed to do, but they won't go put themselves right in the heart of it and in it. Hugh, you should go mentor at a Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Go be amongst the kids that you want to be around so badly. Doubtful. Chat says, are they going to go after porn and its derivatives now? Doubtful. Hugh, there's no way you could actually be a pretty cool lady. There's no way. There's no way. And I can tell that you have not been exposed to a whole lot of things in this world. You haven't seen the underbelly. See, I really think that's a lot of y'all's problem. Y'all have not seen the underbelly. So I doubt that you've been through anything remotely close to what I've been through. And I doubt you say that you're of a certain age. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm probably a little younger than you. I guarantee you I've been through so much more than you. And I've seen so much more of the underbelly, which is why I am the way that I am. I've seen the underbelly. Have you? Have you seen the true nature of men? The true nature, not the nature that gets put out for the world to consume. Have you seen the true nature of them? Do you know their innermost thoughts? I'm sure. says you were a trafficking survivor. So what if you had fallen pregnant from one of your trafficking excursions? You think you should have had that baby and raised it to adulthood? I don't believe you. I wish I could. I wish I did believe you, but I don't. I don't believe you, honey. I've seen the underbelly, and that's why I know this is going to be a disaster. This is a disaster in the making. The only the only way to avoid it is if we can get every woman in the world to refuse to sleep with you guys. That's it. But some women will be forced and other women will be killed for that refusal. That's the type of society we're living in right now. Exactly. Chat says a trafficking survivor, yet you're advocating for a mass influx of unwanted children. Like, please, like, get real, get serious. Like, I'd love to believe you, but I just don't. Because you know what could happen, and you're still saying, yeah, but have the baby anyway, because we owe it to the kid. No, we owed it for the kid's mother to not be a victim of human trafficking. But we failed there. We can't even stop human trafficking for the love of God. But y'all want more kids here to be unprotected. I don't understand. Did you know out here in Georgia, they had children sleeping in the offices of Child Protective Services? Let me see here. Children sleeping in Child Protective Service office. Let's see if I can find the story. It was recent too. Let me see. Let's try 2022. It looks like this is not the first time this has happened. Let's see. It was super recent. Basically, they got caught because they didn't have anywhere to put them. So they just let the children sleep in the actual office. So we're not doing very well. Like, we're not actually doing well as a society. Like, we're not thriving, Hugh. We're not thriving. That's my issue. Like, we haven't fixed the problems that exist for the current people. So why do you think bringing more people here will actually make it better? Or absolutely. Says PTE, you said something that just struck a chord. It seems as if you just want a bunch of people around you. It's as if they can't be alone, kind of like a need for a supply of people. Absolutely. Okay. Hugh's head is filled with cliches. So, like what I was about to say was, or like a true narcissist, are you hoping that one of these children will change the future? In other words, I'm the adult. I have the most power to do something now to fix life. But what I'm going to do is remove my responsibility of trying to make the world a better place and put it on these children, kind of like a gamble. Like, well, we didn't fix the world, but maybe one of these beautiful children who'll get born will. Is that what you're hoping for? That something that you should have done in your lifetime, something that you should have advocated for in your lifetime will be fixed by the next generation? That's what y'all have been doing. And look at the country today. It's a disaster because you're always passing off responsibility to someone else. So now these kids are going to grow up with all these expectations placed on them. And one day they'll get old enough to go, wait a minute. When you were putting these expectations on me, you were the adult. So how did I, as the child, become the one who suddenly has to fix everything because the adults didn't do what they were supposed to do? The adults just threw their hands up and said, oh, well, maybe one of these kids will cure cancer. Oh, well, maybe one of these kids will solve poverty and homelessness because you don't feel like it. True narcissism has reached its pinnacle, you guys. It has reached the peak. We're at the peak, and the woman is under attack in ways that can't be quantified. It's scary. It's a scary time frame that we're living in right now. Chat says our stewards are trash. How do we have two recessions in 14 years? Hello, somebody. Like, it's crazy. And when you really start to understand the supply chain itself, you start to understand A, how we got into this mess, and B, how stupid these people really are. How dumb they really, really are. Like, like I've said before, they designed it to work in one direction. That's it. It's not designed to work in any other direction but straight ahead. So I'll give you an example. Basically, for a long time, the supply chain, the idea was to have inventory, and that was considered a good thing because you could kind of pull from that inventory. You always know what you have. You know, if there's a shortage over here, you can pull some from your inventory and send it on, so forth and so on. In other words, a backstock. That was the idea. The idea was to have an inventory and a backstock. Somewhere along the lines that changed to where the idea then became, if you keep an inventory, you're wasting money, basically. So they designed it to where all these manufacturing companies essentially keep no inventory on hand. They keep no backstock on hand. And as a result, it only works when it's working. So when everything is going well, they are able to operate basically having nothing. But when things go wrong, they have nothing and now they're scrambling. So here's a way to think about it. They went from keeping, let's say, 20 packs of toilet paper in the closet for them to pull from as needed throughout the course of the year, months, whatever, to keeping one roll of toilet paper in the house and hoping that by the time that one roll runs out, they'll be able to go acquire one more roll for the day or however long a roll of toilet paper lasts you in your house. So that's the idea. We're not going to keep, in the past, we kept back stock of the toilet paper. So when we ran out, we just went to the closet, grabbed some more, and we're good. Now they think it's a good thing to only basically have one roll of toilet paper in the house. And they're hoping that their systems and their algorithms and things like that would tell them, hey, your one roll is about to run out. You got to get one more. And that they would be able to acquire that one more roll for one more day. Just in time delivery. Absolutely. Chat wrote just in time delivery. That's what it is. It's called just in time, which sounds psychotic. If you think about it, like, oh, whew, we got it to you just in time. So that's what I mean by when you start to understand how they're really running these supply chains, you start to understand how stupid they are and why the supply chain fell apart because they decided that having inventory was a bad thing. That's why there's no baby formula. They had no backstock of it because in their mind, it's cheaper to only have around what you need. And therefore, we can do this all cheaper, but it's also really, really stupid. It's kind of like if you got in your car and you know you have to drive 10 miles, so you only put 10 miles of worth of gas in your car. And you get there and you know, okay, there's a gas station right across the street. So when I leave here, I'm going to go fill up for 10 more miles. And that works for you for a long time. As long as there's gas and no traffic and no accidents and nothing goes wrong, you can put in 10 miles worth of gas, get where you're going, refill across the street, and get back home. And that works for you for a long time. Everything goes wrong, though, the day that there's a traffic jam, the day that there's an accident, the day that there's a detour, or as has happened recently, the day that the gas station across the street runs out of gas. You know, when they put the little yellow bags on the pump because there's no gas in there? Yeah, the day that they run out of gas. So you made it. You made it to your destination, but now the gas station that you relied on is for whatever reason, not supplying the gas you need to get back home. That's basically how they're running the supply chain right now, you guys. That's how they're running it. It's really, really, it's stupid because it assumes nothing will ever go wrong. Absolutely says, and we're dependent on other countries for food and fuel. Just because you're on good terms with someone today doesn't mean you will be tomorrow. And now you're on the outs and you can't eat. Exactly. Like, how dumb could you be? That's really, 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 really stupid because it depends on everything going well at all times. It builds in absolutely no contingencies. Because to me, when I hear about these different supply chain issues, for example, we'll just go with baby formula because that's what's missing right now. If I were a grocery store, what I would do is I would order my baby formula, whatever my amounts are. And when it gets there, instead of me putting it right out on the shelf, I would wait a day or two, just a day or two or three. I would wait and let the inventory build up a little bit. So then tomorrow we put out 100 units of baby formula. Then the next day we put out 100, but we're putting it out from our inventory, from our backstock, not from what just came off the truck. Goofy. Because if you put out what you just got, of course you're going to run out immediately. Just let the people be without for 3 days. And then when you start to build up kind of an inventory in the back, you start putting it out in small amounts. Hugh, I don't know what to do with you. It says, even though we disagree, I won't ever insult you in any way. I've always been totally impressed with your knowledge of narcissists, especially your review of People of the Lie is chef's kiss. So, Hugh, here's my question. If you believe that I have extensive knowledge of narcissists, why would you think that I would be wrong about this? Why do you have such a wall up? I'm not saying that you should run out and get an abortion tomorrow. As a matter of fact, what I encourage is women to be highly selective. I don't think you should let any of them touch you, to be honest with you. Like, I encourage women to lock it down and protest and to really only try to get pregnant by a man who has shown commitment, because otherwise you're going to be dealing with a nightmare, basically. So it's not that we disagree on that issue. Sure, people should be responsible. They should do a lot of things, but people don't always. And every pregnancy is not consensual. So how do you not see that? Why do you think I'm wrong on this issue? But anyway, that's how I would do it. I would just let people go without for a few days and then gradually put out my back stock as it's arriving and stacking up in the back. But they've been motivated to put it all out as soon as you get it. It's so dumb. Why would you want kids to grow up in a society filled with this many dumb people? And you don't see the evil of the state trying to tell you what you have to do with what happened in your body? It's very similar to the state trying to tell you you have to be injected. What's the difference? Like, literally, what is the difference? It's just not fun anymore. Like, being here, it just sucks. It sucks so bad. It sucks that they think this is the most important issue when rent from foreign investors is shot through the roof so much that it disrupted our entire housing market. But y'all don't care about that for some reason. You don't care. Inflation is at an all-time high. Gas is at an all-time high. Y'all don't seem to care about those issues though. You don't seem to care about the catch 22s that really mess up a lot of people. Like, hey, okay, I'm a child who was born to parents who did not have means, but I want to go to college and better myself. And it appears that the only way I'm going to be able to do that is either get lucky with some scholarships or get a student loan. And you don't see anything wrong with that. You don't see anything wrong with the higher education we're supposed to get costing so much money that it puts people into debt basically for the rest of their lives. You don't see a problem with that. That's why I really take issue with you guys over issues like these, because it's not as important as everything else that's going on. Why not try to create a world women feel safe bringing their babies into? Do you know that some women lose their babies from stress? How do you feel about those babies? Because in a way, it's an abortion, it's an environmental abortion. She's so stressed out by the circumstances of her life and the lives of those around her that the stress causes her to miscarry. So, aren't you responsible for that by proxy? I could make the argument that you all are responsible for at least a couple thousand abortions because you make life so stressful and you keep life so stressful, the baby spontaneously aborts. Like, I'm out of here. So, what do you feel about that? Women whose lives are so stressful by man-made circumstances that they spontaneously miscarry. How do you feel about that? You don't see you don't see that? Here we go. It says praise God for the Supreme Court decision to save more babies' lives. Yep, right up until birth. God is so proud of you. And then as soon as those babies are born, all of you are condemned to hell. Is that really your argument, Hugh? Many babies have been conceived during the wars. How are they still alive? Are you serious? Is that seriously your argument? How many babies were lost by stress or malnutrition during the war or a war? Like, really? Come on, honey. You got to do better than that. Yeah, praise God for all the babies we save right up until birth. And once they get here, to hell with them, get a job. It's almost like they're saying you shouldn't have even been born. Like your scorn and condemnation for the children once they get here is what's going to get you guys thrown into the pit. It listened for 2 minutes and she hasn't said one word of truth. Would you like to call in? I would love for you to call into the show. Statutes of the Lord. Please call in. Please. Please call in. I will give you a link. Please call in. It's like, hooray, we've saved the babies and allowed them to be born, and then to hell with them once they're here. Get a job. Oh, you don't like your life circumstances? Well, you shouldn't have been born poor. Y'all really think God is proud of you guys? That's going to be the funniest thing to witness. If we get to witness everybody's judgment, which I think we are going to, because I think that's how everything, what they say, what's done in the dark shall come to the light. That's how I think it's going to happen. Like, we're all going to get to sit around and watch everyone else's judgment, basically, which is really going to suck. It's going to suck for a lot of people, but it's also going to be very shocking and very revealing. And I can't wait for the pro-lifers to go stand before the Lord and say, God, I defended the right of babies to be born. I was anti-abortion, and I defended the right for those babies to be born onto planet Earth. And that's why I should come into heaven. And God is going to go, oh, you did? Nancy, Mary, Susie, you did? Oh, okay. Well, what did you do for the babies after they were born? I'm sorry, what? What did you do for the babies after they were born? Oh, well, every Thanksgiving I feed the homeless. And God is going to say, what about all the different laws and bills and measures that you blocked to make sure people wouldn't have access to care or welfare or things that they needed to take care of their children? Well, I felt like welfare was for people who didn't want to get a job. And Nancy, and how would you know that? Do you know everybody in the world? Well, no, but I know of some people who just didn't want to work. Oh, so you based all your decisions on the select few individuals that you knew and blocked care for the same children that you wanted to be there? Well, that's not right. And that's not fair. You know, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, of course, I would help somebody if they needed help, but they just didn't want to get a job. And Nancy, whose judgment is that to make? Well, well, it was my judgment, wasn't it, Nancy? Well, well, we couldn't talk to you, Lord. We had to be your representatives. Like, nah. Nancy, I'm reviewing your life here. And it looks like you actually did a lot to impoverish people, create homelessness, create poverty and starvation. You look down on the homeless when the Bible actually explicitly states that you're supposed to take care of the poor and needy, and you did none of that. Your once a year stop down to the soup kitchen doesn't count, Nancy, at all. And your generalized anger, racism, and hatred is actually going to get you thrown into the pit. So thanks. Thanks for playing. Your false righteousness does not impress me. It looks like a filthy rag in my eyes. Goodbye. Chat says this woman supports hacking off babies' limbs in the womb and sucking out their brains. Repent. Call in, statutes of the Lord. Call in. Because you're another one who I guarantee is not going to do anything for these children on their way here. You're not going to do anything. Nothing. Nothing but monitor their reproduction, because that's all you simple-minded human beings can focus on. Reproduction, that's it. That's why there's so many of you and so many idiots on this planet, because you think the most important thing is what people are doing with their reproduction. You're lost. You're completely lost. Completely lost. And y'all think you're God. Also, that's also what's going to get you thrown into the pit. Pride, pridefulness, arrogance, and self-righteousness. It's going to get you tossed right into the hellfire because you guys think you are God. You think you're God. It says it's okay to agree with a fetus's right to live. Your mother let you live. But here's the thing. First of all, you're not even aware of all the fetuses that even exist right now. You don't even know, and you will never know. You'll never know them. You'll never know their parents. You just have this imaginary fetus in your head that you think is not going to make it to this side. Like, you're so weird. Y'all are weird, man. You don't even know them. Just the idea of them, for some reason, keeps you up at night. It's bizarre. It's truly bizarre. And trust me when I tell you, these women are still going to be aborting their babies. The ones that don't want them will still be getting rid of them, and you won't know that either. You will not know that either. So how do you feel knowing that you won't know of every fetus that doesn't make it? Do you know of every fetus that miscarries? Are you aware of every fetus that miscarries in the womb? No, you're not. You don't know them, their parents, anything. You don't know what gender they were. Nothing. You know nothing. You're trying to control something that you don't know. Why don't you control yourself? Control yourself. I see you never answer my question either, which y'all are so good for that. Just refuse to have the real conversation. Was I non-existent when I was a fetus in the womb? As far as I'm concerned, yes, because I'm not aware of anything before age 5. So as far as I'm concerned, I was nothing until I was like 5 years old. I don't remember any of it. So if I hadn't been born, I wouldn't have known. And you still didn't answer my question. Are you going to be aware of every baby that miscarries? And will you even know if that was an intentional miscarriage or if something that happened on accident? Will you know? No. You're delusional. Hugh, you're delusional. But, hey, listen, I'm happy for you guys because I really hope that this helps you guys get some sleep at night. And then maybe if you can get some sleep, you can start to think clearly about the other issues, like where all these babies are going to live, where they're going to go to school, how we're going to feed them, house them, clothe them, what they're going to do in 18 years when all these jobs have gone digital. What are they going to do? Where are these kids going to work? Where are they going to work? Why am I name calling you, honey? Because you are delusional, honey. You're delusional. You said maybe to my question, are you going to be aware of all the children who won't make it to the other side? You said maybe. No, you're not. You're not aware now and you won't be then. Like, would it make you comfortable to know if they sent you like a mailing list every month? These are the names of all the children that we saved by banning abortion. Would that make you feel better? Like, and even so, you're gonna do anything for them? No. You're gonna complain about who they become ultimately, is what you're gonna do. And that's why nobody can stand you guys. Because you're going to complain about the crime. You're going to complain about single parent homes. You're going to complain about no fathers being in the home. You're going to complain about the destruction of the nuclear family. I asked the same question. Chat says, what is the real agenda behind this overturn Roe versus Wade? I don't know. I can't figure it out because they don't like people. They don't like human beings. This is the same group who kept other human beings as property so they could turn a profit. So the fact that they now have taken on this self-righteous moral code is really, really annoying, to be honest with you. It's like you haven't even made up for the sins of your past and you think you're so self-righteous and the sins of today, the ongoing sins and crimes against humanity. You've made no atonement for it, and yet you think you're God's favorite? They're going to complain about their tax dollars being spent on the kids. Absolutely. Like, all you're going to do is grow up to, I think maybe, is that what it is? You just need somebody to complain about. You need somebody to blame. You need a scapegoat. Like, you need a scapegoat. So when y'all turn on the TV and you see all these different things happening in the world, don't complain because you don't want people to do at least what they feel is right to control, to mitigate the situation. They're trying to mitigate. Let them. And if God frowns upon that, God will deal with it. Why do y'all think you're God? Learn to love your babies that you created, women. But notice that he won't say men. He never addresses men. And how can you say you understand narcissism to any degree, but instruct them to learn to love the babies that they created? Like, y'all honestly think people's character can change overnight. You really believe that, and that is your problem. That's why you keep electing absolute idiots into office, because you think their character changes overnight. Oh, thanks. You see how he always has to throw in and men afterward? Afterward. It's not top of mind to include men. It's all focused on women. You see what I'm saying? Chat says the Republicans have latched on to the fanatics' language. The politicians like the socioeconomic outcomes. They want ignorance and cheap labor. Absolutely. No, it's not a given. You need to be explicit. Exactly. It says trying to stop the suffering rather than exacerbate it. Like women create babies on our own. Exactly. Like, I listen, parthenogenesis would be cool, but it's just not happening right now. Maybe if we get rid of the psychopathic men, we can do parthenogenesis again. But until then, yes, it's a can of worms. I agree. There's no end. This is a slippery slope that has absolutely no end. They just wanted their slaves back. They really did. And they gave it up for a couple years. But I think after they did some examination, it's like, you know what? We really don't like them being free. Like, who knew America would turn into like the one of the least free places on planet Earth. But what could you expect from a country that was founded off of slavery? What could you really expect? Like, we weren't an immigrant country to begin with. We literally, for 400 years, maintained the institution of slavery, and some parts of this country fought to keep it. Civil War, anybody? Fought to keep it. I think that was the Civil War. Pretty sure that was the Civil War. They were fighting to keep slavery going, you guys. Fighting to keep it going. So what could we ever expect of a country like that? The same country that wants all these women to have their babies, but snatched babies from the mothers of slaves to sell them up the river. Like, come on. Like, again, your righteousness is like filthy rags. Filthy rags. Like, your foundation is not sound. You were built on a very shaky foundation. Shaky. And now you're trying to be self-righteous regarding this issue? Like, stop. You got a lot of soul searching to do. You got a lot of soul searching to do. And as far as where I stand on this issue, I would hope I would hope that every pregnancy would be between a man and a woman who truly want that child and who love each other and would bring that child into a loving planet. But unfortunately, that's simply not the case. So, you know what I mean? I don't believe in suffering. And I don't believe that every child has to be born just because you say so. Like, if a woman, because I think about it like this, if a woman has reached a point where she's preparing to make a decision like that, things must be really, 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 really bad. Like, really bad. Because that is quite the decision to make. I think it's so sad. Like, I've said that before, I'll say it again. I think abortion is sad because it means there has been a failure somewhere. There has been a failure somewhere, a societal failure, an interpersonal failure, but there has been a failure so dramatic somewhere that she feels it would be better for this child not to be here than to be here. Like, I think that's sad. I hear the procedure is painful. Like, it seems like a very traumatic thing to go through. So for someone to reach that point, life has gotten pretty bad. So, but that's just where we are, and I don't know her. I'm not gonna hold her hand, you know what I'm saying, through the whole thing. Like, I'll never know her. I'll never know her name. But that's her business. That's between her and God. That's between she and God. See what I'm saying? You're so ignorant. Oh my God. It says, no way. Some women do it because they won't look good in a dress, or the guy they like doesn't want kids. You're short sighted. You're short sighted. Right. Chat says this place is a hole. No place for children. Imagine someone with a gross, filthy, hoarded house, yet they demand you bring your baby over. Why? So a cockroach can crawl in their ear? Exactly. Like, some of these children are going to go home to hoarded houses, filthy houses, health hazard houses. He's not. He claims to be a woman, but he's not. He's absolutely not. You're not. I'll never believe that. Your manosphere talking points are too strong. You see, that's the only reason they're against it, because they think a woman just wants to look good in a dress. So she's going to go through this traumatic medical procedure just so she can look good in a dress. Okay. You don't know that. Says some women, it's true. Some women are narcissists who will get abortions every time. And let me ask you this. And what does she have to do with you? Do you really want her genetically narcissistic children running around anyway? What does she have to do with you? She won't accept your date offer? Is that what it is? Because that narcissistic woman who wants to look good in a dress, who you think is getting abortions, won't accept a date with you. I wouldn't accept a date with you either. I would never date you. It has nothing to do with you. You pay your bills, mind your business, and mind your reproduction. Why is that so hard? You probably know people who have had abortions, they just never told you. Now, how do you feel about the fact that you don't know that? That there are people around you in your life, Hugh, who have probably had abortions and they just never told you. You'll never know. It has nothing to do with you. Oh my God. All right, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm not addressing you anymore. Red said, "Do you ever pay attention to the hideous folks outside of those abortion clinics? Who in their right mind would ever even sleep with them?" Right. Like, they're like creatures from the Black Lagoon. Maybe that's where I should go troll. I should pull up to the outside of an abortion clinic one day and just argue with the people who are bothering the girls going in there. That's what I should do. That's what I should do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let the fetus live. It doesn't make me delusional. It does because you don't care about what happens after the fetus is born. That's the delusional part. Like, like, but we're going to continue to go round and round in circles. They've had a temporary win, but they will pay long term. It'll just take a while to come into fruition, basically. It'll take some years for it to come. Either that or women everywhere will just stop sleeping with these men, period. Women might just say, all right, well, that's it. No more sex. And then it's going to be time to do something with all these angry incels. They're going to have to ship them off. They're going to have to send them to war or something because the women just shut it down. Even though I don't believe that will happen, but it's possible. Women could, it's because it's just too risky. It is too risky to be involved in a relationship with a man, even your husband. Because imagine people who already have like 4 kids. Because please don't think that married women aren't getting abortions, honey. Please don't convince yourself of that because they are. They might be one of the number one customers. Why? Because they already have these 4 kids that they can't afford. So a fifth one is only going to make life worse for she, her husband, and their 4 kids. So she aborts the 5th baby. Y'all are insane if you think that doesn't happen. It does. So now that y'all are trying to block it, women might just say it's too risky. It's just too much of a gamble to have sex with anybody, and y'all gonna get shut completely out. Then you get to go into narcissistic, psychotic incel overdrive. Like, we really hate living with y'all. Living with y'all has got to be one of the cruelest punishments Mother Nature has ever inflicted upon us, which sometimes leads me to believe that we're actually already in hell, you guys. Like, you know how we can't remember, well, some people claim that they can remember past lives. Fine. But for most of us, we don't remember anything prior to like age 4 or 5. What if that's because the memory of our previous life was erased because we've been all sentenced to hell down here? And notice how we're always looking up. What if we're looking up because we're at the bottom of the pit? Like, it feels like hell sometimes. It's got to be. Sometimes it feels like we're already in it. Like maybe we've been sentenced already and we are already here. Like, I hope not. Like, I really hope not. But every now and then I'm like, what if this is our judgment? Because it's too much of a comedy to not be. I said I wasn't addressing you anymore, but it says, what did women do before abortion was a thing? They have different, I'm not telling you. Figure it out. But just know that when they wanted to get rid of those babies in the past, they did. They did. Not always safe, but they do. And they did. No, I'm not telling him. Yeah, it says it feels as if life is a test to go back to heaven, right? Almost like this is our last chance. Like, I'm going to send you to Earth. And think about it. What better hell than a place that looks normal, but actually isn't? And almost everyone down there is psychotic. Right. The ancient peoples were engaging in abortion. The ancients would engage in abortion. And that's all I'm going to tell you. It'll get done. Don't worry. It'll happen. Don't worry. But you will worry. And you're probably bald because you've worried all the hair off your head regarding this issue. But yeah, I just wonder, like, there's too many disordered people for this not to be hell. But then that means if we're here, we did something too. That means if we're here, we did something too. So the question is, what did we do to deserve this? Because clearly it was something. So what exactly did we do to deserve this fate? Because what a fate, you know? Because when I was younger, y'all, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's just the rose colored glasses of youth or if things really were this way. But I would say late 80s, early 90s, probably wrapping up around 1999, life was kind of decent, at least for me. From my perspective, outside looking or inside looking out, like the future was bright, man. And I know what contributed to that. Everything kept improving. So we literally went from like VCRs to DVD players to computers to landlines to portable phones to cell phones, all in like a very short time frame. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, life is moving, life is going, life is improving, it's getting better. People were better. They weren't perfect, but they were better. People were more considerate. People act like they had been raised right, basically. Um, like companies ran their businesses better. Things were better. And then it's like it just nosedived somewhere. It just knows, oh yeah, from CD players to iPods, all that. So it's like things were like, yeah, we all had friends. Oh my goodness. Chat says, and we weren't so separate. We were all friends. Like, I never thought my friendship circles would break up ever. Like, I had so many friends and we liked each other and we were good to each other and like nice to each other and interested in each other's lives and involved in each other's lives. And it was fun and there were fun things to do. And so life appeared like it was just going to continue on like that. And then it just nosedived like in the year 2000, 2001. So sometimes I wonder, was I just deluded by youth or was I really seeing something real? And did that really go? I know it went away, but why though? So anyway, I don't know. I don't know. But sometimes I do wonder if we're already in the hellscape and and I don't know that we can turn it around, you guys. That's kind of the big issue. Like where do we go from here? Because to me, here's what comes next, in my opinion. So they've overturned abortion. I do think they're going to try to go nationwide. Then I do believe they're going to come for birth control because again, it's like what is your ultimate goal here? Like what is your ultimate goal? Why are you trying to force why are you so interested in this particular topic versus your own life? You are so interested in making sure every even potential child should be born. So if that's the case, if they outlaw birth control, then they need to outlaw male masturbation too. Why? Because you're wasting seed and you're wasting potential children basically. So, they're going to have to outlaw that. Um but then after they come for birth control and abortion and all that, Then I think they're just going to start reversing everything, you guys. They're going to get women out of the workforce, which I already think they've been working on for a long time, getting women out of the workforce. I think that they are going to try to scale back some sort of, like, they're basically just going to try to take it back to like Taliban style, when women had no rights and her only rights were connected to a husband. They're already kind of doing that. So then, funny enough, I think after that they're going to ban rap music. I do. I think that's coming. I think that's I think that's on the agenda. They're going to ban rap music. Um and then after that, they're just going to start to ban everything that they don't like and forcibly inject you at the same time. So kiss your little rights and your little freedoms goodbye. Kiss them all goodbye, because I think they just tried to let us be free for a little bit and then just simply decided, you know what? We don't like it when they're free. When they're free, they have too much power, they have too much hope. So let's slowly get them back under our thumb. Let's slowly, slowly, slowly get them accustomed to being back under our total control, you know? I think the Democrats and Republicans equally are psychotic and have lost their minds, and they're both pushing you towards the meat grinder. So the Republicans are on the right-hand side of the meat grinder, the Democrats are on the left-hand side of the meat grinder, but you're both being pushed towards the meat grinder and you don't even see it. And it's like, just when just when I think, okay, they're starting to get it, you do something that shows me that you're just pushing us towards the meat grinder, you know? Like, I don't like I've said before, I don't think people know what freedom really is. I really don't. And I kind of agree. The chat says, let the ship sink. America needs to fall. It's the rise and fall of civilizations. It's time. Like, when once you've reached a point of no return, your civilization is getting ready to collapse. It is. And all of this could have been prevented. All of this could have been prevented. But we clung, not we, the powers that be and the founders and whoever else clung so tightly to the idea that corruption is the way, and belittling your fellow man, putting your fellow man beneath you is the way, and this belief that my life is more important than yours, and all that, a belief in discrimination and unfairness and injustice. Like, for example, did you know, Georgia natives know this, but did you know there's a lake in Georgia called Lake Lanier? And every year, this lake claims multiple lives in different boating and swimming accidents. It makes the news every single year. Somebody drowns in Lake Lanier. But did you know that Lake Lanier was once a thriving little small black town back like in the 1800s or something like that? And that they hated them so much that they ran them out of there, killed a few of them, and then they did not want them to come back. So they flooded the town. And that town is still underneath Lake Lanier. It's still under there. So a lot of people say that the reason there are so many boating accidents and drownings on Lake Lanier is it's the spirit of the people of that town basically claiming souls as payback and punishment. It's haunted, basically. Lake Lanier is haunted because it sits on top of an intentionally flooded black town. And that's not the only one. There's more than one. So why do I bring that story up? To show you that your hands aren't clean. Your history is not clean. And the fact that you thought that it was is kind of cute. So I think I'll close on this. I know a lot of us struggle with seeing the rich succeed and thrive and prosper and continue to crush down the poor. and the less able, and the people who will never reach their levels because you're not that deep in the cult matrix, basically. You're not allowed to, you're not designed to reach certain levels. It's hard to see them prosper and thrive and do well when you know for a fact that they scam their way to where they are. But you have to think about, oh yeah, Lake Lanier is alive and getting payback. I'll do a video on it. I'll see, I'll do some more research so I can give you all the specifics. But yeah, it sits on top of a flooded out black town. And people go out there with their boats and swimming and doing all this and that. And Lake Lanier claims lives every year. Every year, people drown out there. Every year. So I say all that to say this. While it is distressing to watch evil people prosper, you have to look at it through God's eyes. What would be more fun than letting people build themselves up and puff themselves up full of pride, thinking that they've won, only to snatch the rug out from underneath them when they are at the pinnacle of their success? What's more fun, to get them when they're on the way up or to get them when they've actually reached the top? It's kind of like, think of the elite as mountain climbers. And they just spent all this time scaling this mountain just to get to the peak. And you have a choice. You could get them before they reach the peak, or you could actually let them get to the peak and let them think they won, and then send an earthquake. That's what I believe God is doing. God is letting them just reach the fullness of their iniquity. Just let them, yeah, yep. Get those, scam those millions out of those poor people. Absolutely. Yeah, raise rent, do all that. Yeah, buy more property, go for it. Here you go. Because it's fun for God. You have to understand that. It's fun. And I know it's hard to watch, and it feels like there's never going to be any answer to any of this. But I just have to believe that the Lord is just sitting back, letting them, seeing how far they'll go with it, basically. How far will you go when you're in power? How far will you go and how much will you do with the power that you've been given? And I think what the Lord is going to be watching more than anything else is, how did you treat the poor when you were the one with money? When you were the one with money, when you were the one with power, how did you treat the poor and those in need? Did you take advantage of them or did you try to help them? And the answer we already know is that they took advantage of them, and they will pay for that. They will. So don't be distressed as you see evil winning, because you have to understand whose game this really is and what would be considered fun for that person or that entity. Fun is to let you think that you won, and really let you think it too, and maybe even help you get to where you're trying to go. Assist just to get you there faster so we can pull the rug out from underneath you. Let you build a mansion just so we can put it into rumble and ruins. Oh, yes. It says, wow, I did not know that about Lake Lanier. I knew that there were no natural lakes in Georgia. Now, I didn't know that there were no natural lakes. I didn't know that. But I did know the story of Lake Lanier. Yeah, they purposely flooded it out to make sure that the residents could never come back. Yep. And that's why bodies get snatched every year down at Lake Lanier. So, America, I know that you think you've done something by banning abortion, and I'm sure you'll try to go nationwide. I'm sure of it. But I want you to know that you've done nothing. Your hands are still dirty. God is not impressed with your little fake righteousness and fake concern for these children or the lives of them. God is not impressed. God sees all sin, including yours. That may not be abortion, but there's something else there. Trust me. Um, you've solved nothing. You're probably going to make the problem worse. And to the Republicans celebrating this and conservatives, you all were the same ones who were against those injection mandates. So remember this. Remember this when they try that again, because they will. They're going to circle back with that foolishness. And you're going to be lumped up in that because they're going to say, well, we can make you because we can make you have a baby. So we can make you do anything. So you might as well stop fighting for your rights in that regard. You've lost all legs to stand on because you just don't simply believe that people should be able to make decisions for their lives, their bodies. You don't believe that. So stop fighting against the mandates. Just stop. Just take it. Just go take it. Stop fighting against it. You don't believe in bodily autonomy. You really don't. You don't have any clue what that actually is. You don't know what freedom really is. And I really am worried if you ever will. So, with that, you guys, good luck. Keep your head up. Ladies, get armed. Get armed. Learn how to use your firearm. Get some birth control, even if you're not active sexually right now. Just get some and have it in backstock, honey. Keep it in backstock. If you choose to sleep with a man, provide your own contraceptive, your own condoms, because they will try to stealth you and they will poke holes in the condoms trying to get you pregnant because they know that you won't be able to get rid of it if you do. Okay? Like, do everything in your power to guard yourself. If you can do it, just swear off sex temporarily. I'm not saying you have to swear it off forever, but swear it off temporarily. You know what I mean? Just go without. Take a detour and take a chill pill. Because they're talking about we need to be the ones to change. Maybe this will inspire men to only sleep with women who are their wives. Maybe this will inspire men to get married more. You think that'll happen? Please. So guard your body, protect yourself, protect your daughters, your nieces, your sisters, and in some cases, your mothers. Not all cases, but in some cases, your moms. Do your best to protect the women and young girls around you. Protect yourself, guard yourself. Trust no one at this time because right now is not the time to be running around trusting everybody, okay? And be on high alert and just hold on. Hold on. And for the smart ones, you and I can do some research on what country we're going to be moving to. I just need a country that'll let me bring pets with me. All right. So, with that, you guys, thank you for stopping by. Thank you. It says, oh, Hugh, I'm wrapping the show. It says, oh, Hugh, come on. It says, I'm also biracial with an afro. OPTE, if you only knew. We learn from disagreements. Let's let life run its course and figure itself out. Much love and respect always. But see, we're not disagreeing, Hugh, because you won't have the conversation with me. You won't actually talk. You won't answer my questions. So it's not a disagreement. It's not even a conversation. You have your narrow-minded, one-directional talking points, and you're not interested in actually having a dialogue. Because I think you're afraid that you'll discover that I'm right with your biracial afro claiming to be a female. Girl, boy, I don't believe you. And with that, good night, everybody. Y'all deal with Hugh. I'm out of here. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to each other another time, okay? Bye.